We are looking at a physical anomaly, a massive, iron-bound door that remains absolutely rigid despite extreme force. It is a barrier that seems to defy the basic laws of mechanical leverage. For 40 years, one man attempted to solve this. My grandfather died convinced that the door's refusal to budge was a flaw in its design, a structural secret he simply hadn't uncovered. He spent decades searching for the specific levers or hidden mechanisms that might trigger the lock. He exhausted every physical method, hunting for a master key that didn't exist. He eventually passed away in this room, surrounded by the tools of his struggle. He left behind a lifetime of work dedicated to a problem that never moved an inch. We have a natural instinct to assume that if we apply enough physical pressure for a long enough time, any barrier must eventually give way. We treat every obstacle as a lock to be broken. This chart represents our default linear problem solving. Identify the problem, apply force, and receive the expected outcome. But this logic breaks down when challenges refuse to follow these rules. When applied force hits an immovable wall, the linear approach becomes a dead end, hiding outside solutions. I initially began by repeating his mistakes. I sat here for months, surrounded by his rusted compasses and blank journals, trying to think my way through the same physical obstacles he failed to overcome. When a problem does not respond to traditional logic, doubling down on that logic only guarantees more failure. We end up fighting the door rather than looking at the room. I finally reached a point of total exhaustion. I stopped searching for secret buttons, I set down the tools, and stopped trying to make the door do anything. The room went still. Instead of scanning the walls for handles, I watched the dust motes drift through a single beam of light. My grandfather failed because he tried to bend the world to his will. He assumed the door was something he had to defeat, rather than something he had to observe. I moved my focus away from the iron handle and toward the light hitting the objects in the room. I stopped trying to force a reveal. In complex systems, deliberate observation is often the only way to perceive a solution. You cannot find the answer while you are busy trying to create it through force. Eventually, the sun reached a very specific point in the sky. Its light hit a glass bottle I had set on a pedestal, passing through the liquid at a precise angle. As the light hit the glass, a golden silhouette began to flicker into existence inside the bottle. It was a key made of light. Suspended inside a solid object, this wasn't a mechanical trick. The solution relied on the specific alignment of the sun, the glass, and the observer. It was a moment of environmental timing. Had I frantically searched the bookshelves or pried at the floorboards, I'd have missed this alignment entirely. The key was a product of the light, not the forge. This proves that the barrier was defined by the observer's perspective. To someone standing in the corner, the bottle was just glass. To someone arriving an hour later, the opportunity would have vanished. The obstacle only existed because of how and when I chose to look at it. I reached for the light. The physical properties of the room changed. The solid glass rippled like water, allowing my hand to pass through. I gripped the air inside the bottle and pulled. What had been a mere silhouette now had the weight of solid gold in my palm. I took the key to the door. It slid in effortlessly, turning without any resistance. The heavy iron door, which had resisted 40 years of prying and pulling, hinged open in total silence. The barrier my grandfather treated as a physical challenge yielded the moment the rules of engagement shifted. Force failed to move the iron. Only a shift in perspective triggered the mechanism. An unearthly light spilled out from beyond the threshold, illuminating the room of dusty tools and failed efforts one last time. I stepped through the doorway, leaving behind the belief that every problem can be solved by pushing harder. This diagram shows the true nature of many of our most difficult challenges. What we perceive as a solid wall is often a hollow structure, built by our own rigid expectations of how things should work. When those expectations dissolve, the barrier goes with them. By letting go of the need to force an outcome, we become capable of seeing the solutions that are already present. When you change how you look at the world responds.